What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How was your weekend, man?
Hazy, man, hazy. The weekend was
Hazy,
hazy. You didn't feel it in your area?
I didn't feel because I think I was too preoccupied with the heat.
Yeah.
I think I took a shower 3 times yesterday.
Yeah. It was
too hot.
September was the hottest month ever. Hottest September ever on record in the
But Terrence,
world.
we are in October now.
No. So I'm saying September has bled on to October.
I see.
Global warming is real.
Maybe it'll be the hottest October ever.
Possible. But funny thing was this, because of this haze, I think it was the first time in my life where I really felt like geographical differences in Singapore really mattered.
Oh, is it?
Like in the west, apparently it was like clear, it was clean. But in the east was bad, central and south were bad. So it was like, if you want, like I was planning to go out with friends and all, and we wanted to do some outdoor stuff. We're like, maybe we should all head to the west.
To the west.
To do things. West is
to the
best.
west.
Stay away from the east, stay away from the south. Yeah.
Wallah.
That's the first time in my life, in my 40 plus years, that I felt that way about Singapore. Yeah.
Well, I was in the east and central for the most part.
You didn't feel it at all?
I don't know, man. I mean, it felt hazy, but the more immediate thing was the heat.
Yeah.
It just came all together. I'm guessing the haze also didn't help with the temperature.
Yeah, of course it didn't help.
Right.
Yeah. It traps the heat and all.
Yeah, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
But apart from that, weekend was good. I went to watch
Hai Di Lao.
No, High Rocks.
High Rocks.
Yeah.
What's that?
Which is like this thing that my wife took part. It's this competition where you do like 8 1-kilometer runs and 8 sets of exercises in between, and people take part in teams and relays. So she took part in a team, and it's intense, man. And it was a national stadium. The whole national stadium was booked out by them.
And why is it called High Rocks?
That's the name, HYROX. It's an international company that does these sort of events and all.
Like
it's like CrossFit, like the HIIT workouts and all that.
No, I thought you meant like high, like I got high, or like things.
Oh yeah,
high.
no.
High Rocks. Sounds like what kind of event?
I think some people think that it's a climbing event.
Yeah,
because High Rocks.
Yeah, but it's not. Okay.
Yeah,
so you went to watch, or you went to participate?
I went to support.
Support who?
My wife.
Oh, so she participated.
Yeah, she participated.
And then how did she place?
It's one of those that because there are 3,000 people taking part in like the open category, the pro category, the relay. So her relay, they just got a timing.
I see. So no cash prize or anything.
No cash prize. In fact, you pay to compete.
You pay to compete.
Yeah. So they get the cash prize.
I see.
The company gets the cash prize.
You pay for the timing to get a timing at the end of it.
But it's a legit timing. It's legit. They never rank you according to how much you pay.
You don't even get a cert or something at the end.
I think you get a cert. You get a cert, you get a t-shirt and stuff like that.
But you have to pay for that.
It's like a marathon. You pay and then you get stuff in return.
So basically, you're paying for someone to tell you that you're fit, basically.
Yes. But unlike a marathon, this one, they have equipment that not everyone has access to.
Got it.
Like a marathon, technically you can run 42 kilometers on your own.
Anyway,
Yeah, so it's different. This one they have some stuff and everyone's together and sweaty and ripped.
But in case you're wondering why I'm asking all these questions, is because it's also related to what we're talking about.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, okay, interesting, debatable topic. It's not life-changing.
Not life-changing.
But it's interesting.
But it's on everyone's lips, right?
Is it on everyone's lips?
Anyone who eats food, I guess. The market of people who eat food in Singapore.
Eat food and Googles for food. Googles for food. Cool, man. But before we jump into it, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, if you're new to this podcast or you've been following us for a while, but you haven't, hit the follow button or the subscribe button wherever you're listening to us, whether it's YouTube or Spotify or other other podcast platforms. Please do so. I think that's the best way to keep the community growing and keep us producing more content for you guys.
Keep us growing as well. And if you want to work with us, you're a brand, you're an individual, you're a person looking for work, just reach out at contact@ministryoffunny.com.
Yeah.
If you want to Google the email address, remember to spell it properly, ministryoffunny.com.
Yeah. And if you want us to reply to your email faster, that comes at a price also, $600.
Yeah.
Your email will be prioritized.
Correct. Yeah.
Just kidding. But it's a perfect segue into our first topic.
Why you say that, Terrence? Why? The first topic, topic.
Which is, so food blogging gone wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Or maybe it's like, depending.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the curious case of SethLui.com. It's a famous food blogger website in Singapore. Been around since 2014, I believe.
Yep.
And they got into a little bit of a kerfuffle because on 5th October, there was a owner of a cafe, I believe, who posted a screenshot from an email that she got from someone from Seth Lui. Just basically saying that, we are launching a new listicle featuring the best places to eat in Everton Park. And just wanted to see if you'd like to take up a spot as an advertising effort for your place.
Yep.
Here are the deliverables. So it's if you pay, you get added to the listicle. 150 to 200 words with 1 or 2 photos per merchant. If you want to be, because it's a listicle, right? There's a list. If you want to be at the top spot, you pay $600 more.
Wait, can we verify? Do you have to pay to be in the listicle?
So they
from my reading of the email, it was kind of ambiguous whether you were already part of the listicle, right?
Yeah, exactly. So because they said we are launching a new listicle, just wanted to see if you'd like to take up a spot as an advertising effort for your place. I mean, one could argue that advertising implies some sort of transaction.
But you could argue that you could take up a spot even without being an advertiser, right?
True.
Yeah. They don't say whether you've already been selected or anything.
True. Yeah. That's why the whole thing is very grey.
Yeah.
So the rest of the email goes on to say, if you want the number 1 spot, it is $600, but it's taken. But the number 2 and number 3 spots for $500 and $400 respectively are still open. The listing will remain for a minimum of 1 year. Photo and information will be provided for by the client, inclusive of social media boosting, 2 rounds of draft, and a couple of examples of articles they had written before, which is like the North Point City Food Guide, the Labrador Park Food Guide.
Yeah.
And for a random spot, they say it's $2,300 net.
Random spot, that means just to be featured.
Yeah.
Without
ranking 1 or 2 or 3.
That means it will come up to 2,000 plus the additional money to be ranked.
But if that's only for the top 3 spots.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the other articles, they can go up to like 15 different eateries.
Yeah.
So I still agree that, like what you said, it's not clear whether they would still feature if this person says no.
Wait, so it does mean the email does imply that you need to pay to be on the listicle, regardless of what spot it is.
So I guess we can start diving into it a bit. Because the thing is, of course, a lot of people were chatting online. And then Seth Lui, spokesperson, first responded. And then the founder himself, Seth Lui, responded, saying that there are times where even if it's not paid, they will still feature someone. And sometimes if they really feel that someone doesn't cut it, they would drop them. Of course, there's no paid there. So in this case, I would imagine there might be a circumstance. Let's say they get 14, and then the 15th one doesn't want to pay, but they still feel they should be on it. Giving them the benefit of the doubt. It might still be there. But it's not explicit. So that's why I think there's a lot of controversy, because everything's very ambiguous. You and I read this thing and we both took away 2 different things.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So when you saw this pop up, how do you catch wind of this?
Social media.
Social media.
Yeah, it was just out there. And this, I think, wasn't too surprised by a lot of it. But I think it's interesting to dive into the details a little bit. Because, I mean, we also are, media company, we do take sponsored ads and stuff for our podcast and all, right? And there's certain guidelines that we have in place. Then just reading about what Seth Lui is doing, I feel like maybe their guidelines need to be more transparent and clearer. But how about you? Why did this tickle your fancy so much that you wanted to talk about it first thing on Monday morning?
That's why first thing.
Aside from all the world affairs, wars going on and everything.
Even this morning when I messaged you articles, morning man, and then the article is boom. Exactly. Because I mean, I've known about them for a while. They kind of started similar to our time when we started doing this. Right. And I mean, they've grown, so good for them. But I think because a lot of people online are saying, there's all this influencer blogger crap is nonsense. Why do we even need to care? I think it's important to talk about because there are a lot of these sort of publications around. And when I want to Google a place to eat when I need to plan something, I do refer to websites like this lah.
Yeah.
I don't really have a preference. I know some people are damn hardcore.
Yeah.
But if it means influencing people's decisions, I think it's important to talk about how these content gets created. Yeah.
And also he had his own personal statement, right? Or a company statement about this where I think the headline was titled, "Do all media companies or media publications have to go through this?" Right?
Yeah.
You can sense his frustration in having to deal with this issue, like this problem.
Addressing the drama, does every media publication have to go through this?
This drama.
The drama.
Yeah.
The drama.
Someone being dramatic.
So like what just listening, I mean just reading through, what's your feel of the sentiment across the internet? What do the netizens feel?
Yeah, I think people are all saying, all these, like you are shitting on influencers and everything. But I think that you can still differentiate between different influencers just based on their ethical practices and all that, right? And you can say, everyone to some extent influencers, right, takes money to write about things, to create content about things and all. But how they do it and how transparent they are about it can differ from person to person. And we know it because we've been in the space ourselves, right? Of, taking ads and being transparent about things. And even down to like getting people to sign release forms and things like that, right? Everyone has very different practices. Not saying that ours is the best, but we work with what we can do, right? To our best extent to make things as clear as possible. So I think it's interesting to dive into what they are doing or not doing and trying to compare that with what could have been done better. I'm not sure if anyone else is doing it, whether it's Miss Tam Jiang and all these people, but maybe it could have been done better. But for you, like just hearing about this incident as well, what was your first impression of everything? It must have fucked up or
that. I mean, I've heard whisperings, which is why I won't go into the whisperings.
Okay.
But or at least not even relating to Seth Lui in general. In general, content creators, right?
Of course, yeah.
Influencers and all that. I've heard, I've seen, I've experienced. So of course, like any industry, there's always these kind of shady things going on,
Yeah.
And subjectively shady, But when this case came up, and I looked through the post and his response, it just felt like, like his response was annoying, the Seth Lui response, the official response.
Yeah.
Because it took a very in some way playing the victim. Does every media publication have to go through this? Some things he said in the clarification, first they said it's confidential business information, which the original poster refuted after that.
Because it was an unsolicited email that was sent to her, right?
Yeah, unsolicited email.
That they were doing an article about Everton Park, which is where her bakery is.
Yeah.
And would you like to be featured in this? Right?
Yeah. So then they said, okay, like our intention has always been to provide valuable services. He talked about his process of discovering new places, basically through social media and Google.
Yeah.
And then the job of the writers is to eat as many of those places as possible and write about them honestly. They have a strict methodology. And then clarify the misconception from the post is that they randomly pick eateries even if they haven't eaten there and send them proposals. And then he qualified that by saying if that was the case, then they would just target all the biggest F&B players and it'll squeeze out all the small ones. So he did say they do a lot of organic content. They found this one 4.7 star rating from 140 reviews, felt it was good, and they reached out. And then they did say that whenever there is a paid entry, a disclaimer for branded sponsored content is placed clearly at the end of those articles. And every review expresses a genuine opinion. And then, great value in community feedback and all that jazz. So that was the official statement.
Yeah.
But if you read the comments on the Facebook post for that, from some of him and some of his employees also, doesn't paint a very good picture.
Ex-employees, right?
No, actually
current.
some. Some I saw. Some I saw. They're basically defending him.
Okay. Employees defending.
Yeah, employee defenders. And how I know employees, because I click on their Facebook profile, it's public. One of them is the editor-in-chief, and she was calling people who don't understand why it's not an issue digital illiterates. Then I'm like, yo, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think there are many issues with it. Because okay, like every media business, they need to generate reviews, revenues,
revenue, right?
and a lot of media businesses, including us, you do ads, lah.
Yeah.
But like the way they did stuff was a bit annoying, lah.
Yeah, I think can break it down a bit, lah, as you were talking about it. The idea of a sponsorship, lah, right? I think over the years we've learned, you kind of really need to be transparent when something's paid for, lah, right? And even in this instance, the fact that it's a listicle, right? And the fact that you're mixing in sponsored spots with like organic spots, right? And then the disclaimer is only all the way either at the top or the end of the article. So you don't know which one is actually someone paid to be sponsored or what, right?
Yeah.
That to me is a bit of a red flag already, right? The fact that you are using the fact that because it's a listicle but not being clear about it. Because it's like Google search. Sometimes you search or something, there will be some sponsored searches that come up, right? But to me, it's clear that these are sponsored searches. It's listed that these are sponsored or that. Just because it's a list of results doesn't mean that they just mix in the sponsored searches with what lah.
Yeah.
So I think it can be done where it's clearer that who's sponsored ad, because you would want to know as a consumer if you're reading it and someone even paid even just to be bumped up higher on the list or something. I think you should know that, right? I don't think it should be mixed in with someone who wasn't part of wasn't a paying client or what lah. Yeah. But what do you think of that lah?
I mean, okay, so like there are a few web pages on their site that I tried to look for about whether there's anything listed as sponsored content.
Yeah.
So the two examples that they put in the email that was sent to the original poster, both don't have anything.
Don't have anything.
So
okay.
I mean, okay, then I was trying to think, okay, maybe they're just showing examples, which is what we have done in the past also.
Yeah.
When we're working with a client, we send them a video that may not be sponsored content.
Yeah, let's say, like we can send a video of us talking to Ng Kok Song or Tan Kin Lian because those were very in the news recently.
Yeah,
right?
And that stuff we have done.
Yeah.
And would you like to work with us on a paid or a commission podcast? So even then when they send it, I'm like, okay, I still can imagine it's not shady stuff.
Yeah.
You're sending examples of what the article could look like. But then when I go on the website, I think in the UK and Australia, there are very strict laws about sponsored content. Like it has to be, you need to use the hashtag on social media. It needs to be front and center and as clearly as possible. So on their website, how I found a few was like I go to the search bar, I key like sponsored or something, and even one of the things, and I'll put an example in the show notes also. 21 best brunch spots in Singapore. It says this post contains sponsored content, and there are 21 restaurants.
Yeah.
So then it feels like, okay, it contains sponsored content, but is it all sponsored content?
Yeah.
Because even Mothership, they are quite explicit most of the time. No, I think all the time that I've seen that this is sponsored content.
Yeah.
So
sure, it's mixed in with other articles, but it stands alone as its own sponsored article, right?
Yeah, correct. So everything in the article, you kind of need to understand that it is not purely objective.
Yeah.
Because if anyone's thinking, oh, you can get paid and be objective, it's tough, right? We have also worked with clients in the past on our podcasts with partners where if we didn't work with them, we may have asked a few questions that we didn't ask on that podcast. But we try to make it as clear as possible that this is clearly sponsored.
Yeah.
So then in this case, it feels like that argument, which is very apparent on Facebook, that how else you expect, I mean, you can't be expecting people to go and review restaurants for free, right?
Yeah.
So then okay, of course, this is not a charity. You still need to make money. But maybe it's their tone of response, which I found it's very like you're immediately like that whole tone of, oh, everyone who doesn't understand this is a digital illiterate.
Yeah. No, I think you're pointing out something that's important is that it seems like the structure of the article, it appears to almost hide a sponsorship somewhat, if you know what I mean? Like 21 places listed. How many of them are sponsored? You don't know. It's like, it's a black box, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. So that's where I think can be done better. I think can be more apparent whether it's having a color-coded section or something that says that this part was sponsored or whatever, right? Or who exactly, even listing out who's sponsored, right?
Yeah.
That would be helpful. I think Yeah, just because it's a listicle doesn't mean that you can't carve out the sponsored section.
But then, like, okay, I don't know how Michelin Star Guide works. I don't know how these big ass restaurant reviews work. I remember in advertising, when I was a naive young executive working in a company doing marketing, we were nominated for some marketing award. I was like, oh fuck yes, man.
Yeah.
This is my calling and all this shit. Then after that it was followed, okay, to win the award you need to be present, and to be present you need to buy a table of 10 seats, which will cost $3,000.
Yep.
And then I was like, wait. I mean, can we just attend and win the award?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no, cannot. You have to pay to attend.
Yeah.
So then after that, the more I saw it, the more I'm like, okay, there are certain industries that work this way, right? I mean, I would I don't think the awards we won at the Asian Creative Academy Awards were bought because all we paid was a submission fee.
Yeah.
Right? But it's almost like if you see this sort of awards thing, you always take it with a pinch of salt. So then, what do you think about the argument saying that as a reader reading these blogs, right? Of course, it's not objective. You form your own opinions, but you just read out a bit about them and then you go Google more.
I mean, yeah, you can argue that it's similar to your marketing awards.
Yeah.
If you all don't believe in paying for it, then don't be part of it.
Yeah, don't be part of it.
Don't have the award. It's fine,
Yeah.
And you could say, in this space of food reviewers as well, if you don't think that it's objective or what, then just don't read it, right? Don't follow his recommendations. But I would say the probable difference between those two scenarios is that this is one of the bigger food reviewers in Singapore, right? If not, I don't know if the biggest or one of the bigger ones, like you're saying. Like they've got hundreds of thousands of followers and a lot of people visit their site and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas your marketing award thing, it's not something everybody can access or participate in, right? And it's an industry thing. It's very niche for the industry and all that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a bit different, I would say one is closer to a public service that not say public service, but something that a lot of people access and take for granted as a chief source of information, right? Whereas the marketing awards, everyone knows that their stuff is for the industry. It's more subjective, doesn't affect day-to-day life of most people, right? But food reviewers, the big ones, especially, I think are much more influential.
Can change lives,
Not say change lives, but much more influential, that way, right?
Yeah, because more influential, but at the same time, they're ultimately a private company. Like I know some of his responses personally was like, if you to the person who posted we email you. If you don't want, you don't take it Like, well, why you want to cause all this drama?
Yeah,
right. And this
because she did post hashtag it's a scam.
Yeah.
Which I think then a bit extreme to say it's a scam per se right?
Yeah, yeah, because then I give Seth Lui again the benefit of the doubt that they do organic reviews.
Yeah.
But where it becomes an issue is like how organic is organic and it's almost like an example where you have 21 restaurants, you say this post contains sponsored content. It could be 1, it could be 20.
Yeah.
So then you look at it and it is a ranking right? It's not just purely no ranking.
Yeah.
You can't just say it's like last time in school in primary school. There are 21 students in class. I'll just put you by number.
Yeah.
You won't be okay with being 21, right?
Yeah. Correct, yeah.
Right. So there's an inherent ranking there. But just looking on Facebook, a lot of people there's a lot of defending of Seth Lui. Of course it's on the post, and I mean it's just certain people you can tell they're employees and they're so open about calling. It just blows my mind that there are some digital illiterates who think we are all running a charity. We have always been clear with which post contains branded content, and 90% of our content is organic. Nobody sees the good work you do, especially when you help establishments as well. I just hope people move on from this. Yeah, so it just feels like as a content creator.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, Terence?
I think it's true if you don't want to read the content, then just don't read it, don't engage with it and all. But that's it. As a content creator, as a food reviewer, a lot of people want you to be objective, right? And I think maybe they can, I think address this with more, rather than calling the person digital illiterate or something like that, right? I think it can be addressed a bit more with a view towards rebuilding any trust that could potentially be lost, right? And really trying to meet with the person and explain to them the context of things, right? Because right now it just seems like both sides putting out statements to refute each other, where they could have collaborated together or worked together, or found how could they have improved the experience of even just how the email is worded and all. Because I think the email was clearer about their intentions and how they make things a bit more transparent. Actually, I wouldn't have that big an issue with it, lah. But even the start of this podcast, we were quite unclear about what exactly the email meant, lah. Right? Are you telling me that you're writing this and I must pay you to be included, or are you telling me that I'm already in it and that you just wanted to ask if I want to be my ranking to be boosted or something, lah? Right? So that can be communicated better to their potential clients. And also within the article, I think it can be more clearly communicated to the reader which posts, which listings are sponsored or not, lah. Yeah.
But then in those sort of things where they're not breaking any laws, right? And every business can run its own business the way it wants to, as long as it's not breaking laws, lah.
Yeah.
Maybe for them it's like in some way, if we make it explicitly clear, there'll be 100% trust. But if we make it 100% trust and maybe 30% revenues, right? 30% profit. If we make it maybe 90%, 80% transparent, we got 60% profit. And with more profit, we can hire more people, do more reviews, we can help more establishments, Terrence.
Yeah.
So isn't that better for the greater good? If people are still consuming the content, going to their website, reading the stuff, maybe understanding or not understanding that this is not purely organic, but they still get the info they need.
No, I think, but then you really need to think about when you talk about digital literacy, right? I mean, the big problem we have with digital literacy these days are scams, fake news, and all these things, right? So I would argue that if you are an advocate for digital literacy and you're a big brand and influential and everything, you should be taking the big steps of making sure a lot of things are more transparent and clearer, as opposed to using the argument of a greater good to try and fudge your way past this idea of transparency, But that's me, lah. Maybe I live in an idealistic
Moral
world.
high ground, lah, Terrence. Fucked up, lah, you.
But because I don't think it's that difficult. So it's almost like I don't think it's that difficult to try and find ways to be more transparent, to really get people to trust you and all that.
But you have that feeling, which I also have, and I think we've also discussed that the moment you put that it's sponsored, right, it loses a bit of appeal.
Of course it does.
Right.
So that's the trade-off that they have to balance, as opposed to trying to have your cake and eat it also, where I have sponsored posts, but I also don't want to risk any trust that people have in my content, right? By not being super upfront about it,
Yeah.
In this case, it just feels to me like it's not being super upfront. It's not an accidental thing or what. They obviously have thought about this, and even the email that we read or that is exposed, that has been shown to us, is quite ambiguous, right? And for such a big company, a long history, all that, it's not an accidental thing or an intern who wrote it or anything like that, right? It's even the idea of the first spot's taken, you can try second spot, third spot.
Yeah, that's right.
Scarcity marketing, right? Only one slot left. Yeah, that kind of feel. There's that kind of feel to it, Like you didn't need to tell anybody about that, right? You could just mention that we have a slot available, but it's the whole first slot.
FOMO.
So it just has a feel like it's a concerted effort to do it. It's not like, we're so busy trying to work for the greater good. That's why we're doing this, Yeah.
So and it's one of those things that also the less transparent you are, the more people will fill in the gaps on their own,
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, what is their process then? They go to let's say Bedok, they try 50 E3s. They think, okay, these 25 are not bad. They've all passed our internal checklist in terms of quality. let's email them all and pitch them all this, and how many people agree, then we write a listicle on that. Even if only 6 of them agree, you have a listicle of 6, no point, right? So then we include 15.
Yeah.
So the ones that the 6 get, the top 6, and then the 9. So, yeah.
But we don't even know if that's the process.
Speculation. Purely speculation.
Because he's made it, I think they've made it patently clear, as he likes to say.
Patently clear.
They made it clear that they rely on Google reviews to also make assessment of whether they should feature a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So is there really that process of going down and eating at all the places and all that, such a robust process? Or is it like, let's scan through Google reviews first and see lah? So I think that's the thing, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but we don't know. And now it seems out in the open that the whole process is a bit like shady, a bit like, okay, what's sponsored, what's not sponsored, and do they even eat the food before they talk about it in their listing and all that.
Maybe next time I try, like next time you and your wife come over to my house for Deepavali, right? I'll serve you like 10 dishes. Or like, Terence, this contains home cooked food.
One of them
is home cooked food.
Yeah.
Nah, enjoy. And then if you have a good meal, then I'll be like, fucking,
surprise.
Such a good host. Yeah, I'm such a good host.
Yeah.
This whole meal was home cooked. Yeah, because it contains home cooked meal. But all I did was like some chutney.
Yeah.
Everything else.
So you feel cheated,
So would you feel cheated?
Yeah, you feel cheated.
Why? You still had a good meal,
It's a good meal, but
the best Indian food of your life, no?
But you want it to feel like it came from the heart. It was made from the heart.
Hey, when I was keying in on the delivery, I was like, wow, my heart was in it.
Still different.
Still different.
So
it becomes the
your
trusting
hand oils in the food and everything. Right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. That's all part of the process.
Yeah,
it's a trusting. It is a trusting.
I mean, especially in the business of reviews, where there is inherently trust involved, right?
Yeah. In fact, even for us, we don't review stuff, right? I mean, we talk about things, and a lot of times we just preface it by saying that it's our opinions, nobody else's. A lot of it's speculation. This is conspiracy theory, allegations, blah, blah. We're all just upfront about it, but even then, we feel like if something is sponsored, we need to be very upfront about that. This is sponsored, right?
Yeah.
Even just talking about how we feel about something, not even reviewing it or trying to give it some objective measure of how good or bad it is. And that's what food reviewers are trying to do, right? They take what's a very subjective experience of eating and tasting and enjoying food, but try to apply a certain metric to it, like a certain star system and all that. And this one is very good, that's why you must try it,
Yeah.
So when the whole science of it gets thrown out the window because you feel like, all you have to do is pay to get into their books, right? Then that breaks the trust.
And plus the response, we apologize for any confusion or frustration that the individuals post may have caused.
Yeah.
Guys, come on, man.
Yeah. But maybe we're too idealistic, but
naive.
Let's seek out opinions from the crowd. I mean, a lot of people still go on our Reddit to voice their opinions about a lot of things we talk about. And we still read them regularly, right?
Yeah.
Responding, of course, depends on how much time we have, in between our daily lives doing high rocks and all that. But I think we would love to hear. Do you even use any of these food review sites?
Sometimes when Googling, if you want to eat at this place, let's say like someone's birthday or something, I will Google. Then I'll be like, I have no idea, and I'll just ask my wife for help. Because she's the foodie between the two of us.
Okay.
But I do go to these sort of websites.
Oh, you do go? Okay.
Yeah, I do go to these sort of websites. So it does influence my opinion.
Yeah. For me, right, for hawker centers, any place that has certificates or stars and all that, I just basically don't go there. Automatically go. Yeah. I just feel that it's too... I know of so many instances of people, hawker centers, hawker stalls or what, paying to have those certificates there. And a lot of times I feel that they also don't know better, right? They just think that, this is how social media is done and all that. And a lot of times I've eaten the food and it's come out terrible. So I've actually made it a point not to go to these places with all these recommendations from, especially dubious or not so well-known sites and all that. I just feel like a lot of times those are things that they just pay for and they don't think about.
Actually, that's a good point. Because while they say that, they want to help small businesses and hawker centers by making it by allowing people to pay their way to the top, right? Then you're hurting the people who maybe don't have the budget to, but really serve fucking good food.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess the takeaway is that when you go to a hawker stall and you see a stall that looks good but no stars or anything, don't write it off, lah. Don't write it off.
Don't write it
Maybe they're like, you know what, we don't need these paid reviews.
Yeah.
And then when they're sitting there with no customers, you're like, oh shit, maybe we should have paid for the reviews.
Yeah. No, it seems like, I mean, it's when you're doing a business, you do what you can to make things better, lah, right?
You
And
pay
if
for exposure.
Yeah, if you see other your competitors all like, oh, they got this, they got that, they have stars, they have recommendation stickers and things. That makes you think, am I doing everything I can to maximize my business, you know? So that's my thing. Like, I've made a point to not eat from those places.
So yeah, maybe if anyone's listening from the Seth Lui team, maybe we get Seth Lui on.
Actually, it'd be interesting, to hear his perspective.
Seth Lui. Cool, man.
Cool. But from, talking about one kind of like, I would say, kind of ambiguous business practices, right? To something that seems a bit more outright and more like has demanded more immediate action from the government, right? What is this industry or place we're talking about?
It is the additional announcement by the Ministry of Home Affairs that come March 1st, 2024, the value of prizes for amusement center games must be less than $100. Yeah, and operators of amusement centers will be banned from offering cash equivalents, credit, or merchant vouchers as prizes.
Or even buying back the prizes, right?
Yeah,
cash,
correct. Yeah, so that was arising from a question in Parliament from an MP, Yip Wong Hon Wing, about whether MHA will consider implementing age verification to prevent people from 16 years or below.
Yep.
And whether there's any data on the number of students who frequent arcades and their average expenditure. So Shanmugam took the fall and said, okay, they do not track number of students at amusement centers or the amount they spend there. If they did, it would be a bit weird. And that that MHA also has observed that more games have elements of chance and more games offer high value prizes. Yeah. So like were you someone who went to arcade last time?
Yeah. As a younger kid, yeah.
What games you play?
I mean the usual stuff at
Daytona,
Metal Slug, Daytona,
Street Fighter,
a little bit of King of Fighters, stuff like that. Yeah, the arcade boxes, right? Yeah, the cabinets.
But did you play any of the games that got cash prize or like the claw machine or anything?
Not much. Those I think are more in the last 1-2 decades, right?
Yeah.
The claw machines and now all these the cash prize machines and all that.
Yeah, like what sort of cash prize machines are there? You mean like actual like money prizes?
Yeah. They are. They put like cash into envelopes, and then
is it
a lot of times it's like I wouldn't say slot machine, but imagine like Wheel of Fortune kind of thing.
Yeah,
where a digital thing goes around, and then it lands on the money, and then the packet drops, and then you got cash. Or even something very high value like iPhone, for example, the newest iPhones, or even other gadgets like AirPods or whatever. So it can be quite pricey stuff, but it's near impossible to win those things.
So you think this is like the government overstepping too much?
I mean I think the interesting thing is how arcades have shifted from a place where young people hung out to play games or they didn't just while their time away, right? That's what it was in our days, You would go to arcade with friends after school and you'd spend hours there, and sometimes you wouldn't even spend money because you'd be just watching your friends play or watching other people play, and there was some skill involved, especially the fighting games and things like that, or racing games.
And then there was the dancing one, the phase of the dancing.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a whole social element to it. But nowadays, I mean, there aren't as many arcades, but if there are, I would say the arcades are like 70 to 80% filled with claw machines, or these, these machines that are more related to chance and winning money or winning big value items. So it's much less fun to just hang out there and spend hours and hours there. But there are still those other machines, but just much fewer of them. Yeah. But for you, like how arcade was never a big part of your childhood?
Once in a while. Like whenever I go there, I used to enjoy it, but yeah, not often.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, it was something that was expensive. Even if you just play one or two. So go in just maybe get $2 and just have to budget and ration and like, okay, where to go. Because apart from that, just play soccer under void deck, then kena chased by police.
Yeah, that was more fun, right?
Yeah, that was more fun. Real life arcade.
Yeah, real life arcade.
Real life arcade.
But now arcade also is very expensive. Going to the arcade is very expensive.
Yeah, it's probably more expensive.
Yeah, the tokens are much more expensive. You get to play much less just on one token and all that.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, even looking at the pictures now, because I remember arcade last time was just video games only.
Yeah,
it was just video games. And now there's fuck, man, it really looks like a miniature, like a youth casino.
Yeah. So that's the thing I think the government is trying to stop here, like that young people, go into this very casino-esque atmosphere. And, there's the build-up of that muscle of like, the muscle memory of like enjoying these dopamine-inducing games and then like the joy of like the lights flashing at you and possibility of winning something.
Yeah.
And then leading to them later becoming slot machine addicts later in life lah. Yeah.
Because initially when I saw the article, I was like, hey, this one like just let things naturally like curb itself. But I'm looking at the pictures now. I'm like, oh my god, it really looks like a casino.
Yeah.
Where people have like baskets where they can put their stuff in, and they just sit down there.
Yeah, and then even the claw machines also lah, right? There's so much manipulation that goes into like the strength of the claws and all that you're sort of led into this sense of like belief that you can actually get it. But the thing just can't. Those claws usually can barely even pick anything up.
Yeah,
they're so weak and so like. The springs are loose and everything already. And I think there was a quite interesting CNA documentary where they really took like these claw machine experts and pitted them against people who didn't have experience with claw machines and just put them side by side. Like, is there a statistical difference if you give each of them like $100? Can the experts really win that much more than the amateurs? And honestly, if I remember correctly, it was a very small amount that the experts had. Yeah, it's a very small amount. So for all you say about them being experts and the amount of time that they've spent on it, right? At the end of the day, the house wins. The house wins. It's the claw machine that wins,
Oh, shit.
So it's everything is like it's just pointed towards like a casino, getting people to come and have this hope and belief that they can game the system or beat the system. And then they spend lots of money there. Yeah.
Because I'm reading an article, they also have like prices like what you said, iPhone, right?
iPhones.
But that means in future cannot.
Cannot $100.
$100.
But if you think about $100, like that is one aspect of the law of this new law, which a bit surprising to me. $100 is really little by arcade standards these days, lah.
Is it?
I mean, consider
student.
Yeah, but consider how much you need to spend to actually try and win something these days, right?
Yeah,
you could easily spend $100 at the arcade in just like one sitting, right? Each token is $2 to $3 at a time. Each try at the claw machine is $2 to $3 at least. So it's just like $100. Wow, I mean, it's given this inflationary pressures we're facing in Singapore. $100 is small.
So must account for like after GST increase will be $109.
Yeah. But I was thinking something more akin to like $200-$300. At least you can still maybe win like Apple AirPods or something.
But I mean, they interviewed this one person, Polytechnic student, 21 years old, who said she normally spends up to $340 a month on these games.
Yeah.
Using her pocket money and internship.
Yeah.
But to win a pair of iPods, which cost like $150, she's already spent $300.
Exactly, yeah.
No, so like it goes against what you're saying about $100 being too low. People will still spend. I think it's the thrill of it.
No, yeah. No, so yeah, I'm saying that if anyone, it hurts the people who enjoy playing it, right? Where the value of the prize that they can win is really even smaller now. So that, I mean, okay, but maybe that is the whole intention, right? To get people to be less incentivized to play the games. Don't spend $340, spend $40, maximum a month. But I feel like a lot of people who go there to play the games, would you say that they are like kind of like casino gamblers? Would you put them in the same category? people who enjoy
budding
playing.
budding.
Yeah.
Budding.
But isn't it a bit more, it's better than being in a casino, right?
Better in what way?
I mean, a casino is outright. It's just like you're basically a machine.
But this is worse. Like casino, you go in, there's expectation. That's why they're more stringent. You can't allow people below a certain age, right? This arcade feels like it's worse.
Kids,
it's like a happy meal for a casino.
It's
a gateway.
It's gateway. Yeah.
Yes, gateway.
Yeah, gateway drug.
But I mean, Shanmugam is the one who's like fronting the ministry that is clamping down.
Gateways. Right?
Gateways arcades. Wow, then next time people go abroad to get their arcade fix.
Probably already do. I think like if you've been to Japan, have you been to
the pachinko machines, right?
Not just those machines, but even just going to an arcade in Japan, like the building with that the Sega building.
Yeah.
It's really 5 or 6 floors of non-stop just like arcade machines, claw machines, every kind of machine that can draw you in for hours and hours, And it is a money sink. Like you go there and you will end up spending money. Will you win anything? Depends on your luck.
It's like 4D and Toto, right?
Yeah, but much more seductive. 4D and Toto, I mean, buying 4D and Toto is not like a fun experience.
Previous winner just got 13 million.
I don't know. The money is great.
Yeah.
But the experience of buying it is not fun.
You queue up, you can think about life.
Think about life. Yeah, but this one, like, you go to the arcades, like flashing lights, everything, interesting pictures.
I mean, it plays on the how you say, the belief that today's gonna be the day.
Yeah.
It was like dating apps last time.
Yeah.
Honestly, dating apps, every time you open the app, you're like, okay, I'm gonna meet the person. But so many times you're just disappointed.
Yeah. But speaking of dating apps and apps in general, right? A lot of people are saying that why even bother with this? Because this
dating
is
apps?
No, as in like banning the prices in these arcade machines. Because how many people go to arcades versus how many people are on their mobile phones spending on loot boxes and shit like that on mobile games, right? Loot boxes, the bane of like gamers. I mean, to me, like the bane of gaming, right?
Yeah.
Where they just it's basically even when you play FIFA or something, now there's a pay to win kind of thing going on, where you pay for the best player, the best upgrades
to finish first on the World Cup, second on the World Cup, or third. Is it?
Yeah. You basically have to pay to just get to a point where if you play online, you have some, footing to play with other people. And then when you play with people, you realize, hey, they all paid and got everything, all the upgrades already. So it's not even a fair playing field.
But that one different, because arcade it needs to be a physical space that is built.
Yeah.
That is almost in some way approved by the government and the authorities. Game, you get the phone, people can say, hey, but why use your phone for gaming? It's not meant for that.
Yeah.
That's like saying like, hey, Terrence, don't drink too much beer. You have your mouth.
Yeah.
But what you put in your mouth is up to you.
Correct. So I guess the government, they can control what happens in arcades, right?
Yeah,
because they're physical spaces and it's harder to control games.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that there's a lot more conditioning of our young people going on mobile games than there is in our actual arcades. Because like the loot boxes in games are a horrible thing. You know what these loot boxes are?
I know. Yeah.
There's a lot of times you pay and it's like a casino. What comes out of the box that you pay for, the upgrades that you get, do you get Messi, do you get Ronaldo, or do you just get some, other player?
So it's a mechanic that is present in a lot of games, right?
It is, yeah. And it's really bad. There are some sports series like NBA 2K where it's really horrible levels. Like even to, like you have an avatar in the game and all that. Even just to get a bloody haircut. Sometimes you want a certain hairstyle, you have to have the currency to go and play it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and you can play the game to get that currency, right? But you got to play like 100 hours just to get a little bit of currency and maybe allows you to get a haircut or just a small upgrade. And so they offer the option, why don't you pay to get those upgrades? And sometimes you pay already, you don't even get like the upgrade, you get a chance to get the upgrade. There's a casino match.
Have you ever bought something for an upgrade in a game?
I have, yeah.
For what kind of game?
Like probably some one of those shooters or something like that. Yeah. So just to try it out in those early days, right?
I think like what you were saying about how your default approach now is anytime you see a store with stars and all, right, you avoid.
Yeah.
For me, once I'll download a game. One moment they say you pay for it, I'm like, fuck it, delete it.
Yeah.
Fuck it, delete it. Because I think also thankfully the few games that I have finished is you pay upfront to download and then there's nothing inside lah.
Tinder got any?
Tinder last time I paid
to do what?
For the Tinder Gold, where you can swipe in overseas countries.
Oh,
you can take back a swipe.
Okay,
you can prioritize the swipe. I tried it all.
What
man.
does prioritizing a swipe mean?
That means when the person you swipe on, you will pop up like
first.
Ranking like ranking.
And you pay for it's like a subscription service.
It's like if you swipe right with a star. Subscription service. And then like if you pay, you get to swipe in other countries. So there was at least once or twice before traveling when I was single. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be there for a few days. Let me pay and start swiping in that country ahead of time. So that when I match, I hit the ground running.
So it's like
it was a paid thing. Fucking Tinder Gold.
Oh, there's a pay to play element plus the loot box element is in Tinder itself. It's
every
just
day you open is a loot box.
Brilliant.
So I paid. I paid.
But worked out, right?
Yeah, not on Tinder lah. Bumble.
Okay, Bumble.
Shout out to Bumble. I didn't pay. Shout out to Bumble, man.
But do you think there's overstepping of boundaries like for the government to do this?
I don't think so.
Of all things to go and focus on, like, why this?
Because I think when it comes to younger folk, right?
Yeah.
I think if it can be enforced, I think it's good lah.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it's your younger, I don't know, just feels like I'm less about. If it's like adults and all that, then I'm like, okay lah, there are other things. But if it's younger kids, I think it's worthwhile.
But then, what about people saying that this will kill the arcade industry? Like less people going and everything.
I'm okay with that also.
The death of another industry is okay.
No, I won't kill lah. It would like cause it to. Then maybe it's a way of differentiating, right? If your arcade cannot offer big prizes anymore and you're losing the customer thing there, then you focus on like the games itself lah. And I think any business goes through that. At certain points, there are certain things that happen, certain things that you can't out of your control. Then you have to evolve lah.
Yeah, or maybe having some like lobbying for some kind of age limitations on certain things, right? Like I think there are sections of the arcade that one day I would still want to like bring my kid to go and check out, right? Some of the game stuff and all. But there are sections that I feel like, hey, this is obviously when you watch a kid like get into that mode of like, wow, this is so exciting, and you watch how their eyes just light up. Then you realize, oh shit, the conditioning is happening in front of you. And that's why maybe it's quite dangerous here, where the arcade is like everything is mixed in together. It's a bit like how sponsored posts being mixed in with like
exactly.
But when like a normal fun like fighting game or whatever or racing game is mixed in together with one of these chance related games, then you sort of just like lump everything together and you don't really. It's kind of dangerous lah. Yeah.
Recently, I saw this trend on TikTok. Is your dog an iPad boy or something like that?
Oh, is it? What is
like
it?
Basically, there are games now for dogs.
Oh, really?
Where there's a little bug that appears on screen and they lick it and they. Then I was thinking, gotta ask Terrence what he thinks about this. Like for a dog to play an iPad game, because you're owner of two dogs.
Yes. I don't even. Is that even? I've never tried, but I'm not even sure if that's possible. Like, I was under this impression that dogs can't watch screens.
No, you go on TikTok, you see them like there's this bug on screen, then they'll lick it or with their paw or something like that.
I gotta check it out lah.
They can't watch screens. What do you mean?
Like their vision is not equipped to like watch like screens, like LED screens, or it's too bright or something like that lah.
I mean, maybe because I think it's an app specifically for dogs.
Okay.
So maybe they dim it down or they have a certain configuration.
Yeah, because what dogs see is contrast. Contrast is what
so it's very contrasty.
Yeah, so but if everything is very bright, as in like an LCD screen or something, that's why I thought that it's very hard for them to.
No, if you look at the videos, it's normally like a dark interface with like this bright bug floating around.
Then maybe.
So, but that means like the dog, they're damn cute lah, But how you feel about that?
I mean, they won't get addicted as easily lah.
Yo, some of the dogs, they're really damn passionate.
Yeah, but dogs are very smart lah. They actually learn things very fast, and once they learn, they do it a few times, they get bored of it quickly also lah.
Is it?
Yeah. They don't have that. The humans, for some reason, it's inbuilt in us to like have these addictions build up and become like really like specialists or experts at certain kinds of things. Yeah. I mean, it's an evolutionary thing. Maybe it makes us like we specialize in certain
And you get better.
Very unique techniques so that we can work together as a team and all that. But a lot of times these games are using that evolutionary advantage to their own advantage, right?
You go and see the TikTok dog
I'll
thing.
check it out. Check it out. Maybe I'll use it to entertain my dogs. They're very bored at home,
Yeah, that's what you say. It always starts with just entertaining only. Always starts with entertaining.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But yeah,
cool.
Moving on to our one shook thing.
Yes.
What is your one shook thing, man?
One shook thing. It was
one shook comment.
One shook comment. I think on a previous episode, there was someone who Googled our contact and then couldn't find it. And we mentioned briefly, like, oh, should we have a website or not? We have at least one very passionate response from Harish Pillay. Harish spelled with an I. Harish and Terence, please get a website going. It can be the launchpad to all your other sites. Having a website allows your content to also be archived on web archive for posterity. Which, I mean, it's at some point I think we will have it. Maybe when we start mixing sponsored content with non-sponsored content and increase our revenue, then we can consider. Then we can consider. Yeah. But yeah, that was my one show comment.
That's funny.
Yeah, you?
Mine was actually a in-person interaction with a Yellow Butt listener. I think it's on Reddit. It was a But Then Hall. The post is super starstruck when bumped into Terence today. Haha. So what actually happened was that I was actually at Don Don Donkey, running around Don Don Donkey with my kid, trying to find the sweet potato. You know, they have it Don Don Donkey. And I was very flustered because I couldn't find it. And I was trying to shepherd my kid around. Then someone just came on, hey, Terence. And it was one of our long-time listeners, But Then Hall. And then I think she just introduced herself as But Then Hall. So at first I was like, I felt a bit awkward because I wanted to say, oh no, the podcast we do is called Yalla Butt, not But Then Hall. Then I realized, she was referring to the fact that her Reddit name is But Then Hall. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it was quite cool to actually meet someone that's been on Reddit and all that in person for the first time.
I see.
But I was very all over the place because I was running around my kid in a very crowded Donkey or something. Yeah. So interesting experience.
But it made your weekend.
No, it was nice. It was nice to. I said thank you for saying hi, man, because it's always nice when people like who listen come and say hi. Because a lot of times we do this and we, it's hard for us to really know what.
We wonder whether it's just us listening to each other,
us talking to each other. And like, is it Harish clicking on the YouTube link, refresh until it's like got thousands of views?
No, right? But you have to refresh with different IP also.
Oh, is it?
Because it doesn't register as a view.
Oh,
so wow. I don't have 1,000 different computers.
Okay, or VPNs or whatnot.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so it's cool. Like, please do say hi if you do see us around the solar.
Right? Yeah. Cool. All right. And the one show thing.
Yes. What is your one show thing? Let me pull
my one show thing is there's this YouTuber who I know has been controversial in the past. Penguin Z0.
Okay.
Like he does reaction videos and stuff like that. But I just found out like a few weeks ago that he actually has his own comic called God Slap. God Slap. Yeah. And I caught wind of it through one of the newsletters that I subscribe to. And basically it is like full on. They have like how many issues? They have a bunch of issues and it really looks like a legit comic.
Yeah.
And I mean, normally it's always nice to see how content creators evolve and come up with stuff that is a different format or basically some sort of product. And aside from just t-shirts and mugs and all, like this one, actual comic and it looks damn legit. I think it's Bad Egg is his brand.
Okay.
And the God Slap comics look insane. And the article I read was like, oh, is this like the new Marvel? Because he has 13.8 million followers on YouTube. So he's quite a big creator.
Yeah.
But I just thought, hey, kudos to him, man. Like fucking doing a comic. And he has talked about it on his podcast before. I think back in July 2021, he talked about the biggest thing he has ever done. And it's pretty damn cool, man. God Slap. Yeah.
Cool. My one show thing is an experience that you and I both went through recently. It's actually the LKY experience. That we got to see a preview of that is now public.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know, it's basically LKY's 100th birth anniversary this year. And there's a whole slate of events celebrating this occasion. And one of which is an exhibition about LKY's life, right? That is actually held at Prinsep Street at what used to be the elections department building, a 3 or 4 story complex that is now converted into exhibition space, detailing events of LKY's life in a 3D space. Right? So you and I both got to experience it recently. I found it quite fascinating that there were a lot of aspects of it which I was like, wow, I didn't know that people were so into this, right? I think the one thing that I found funniest was there was this whack-a-mole game that you could play. That I think that we had you played, right?
Yeah.
But instead of whack-a-mole, it's a socio-economic problem that Lee Kuan Yew faced in the 60s, right? So it's pretty funny because there was like little boxes saying,
GDP decrease,
inflation, racial tension, and then they just came out as a whack-a-mole game, and then Harish was just whacking them on the wall and all that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a lot of interesting interpretations of the Lee Kuan Yew experience, right? Then Lee Kuan Yew life, right? For good and bad, right? I think obviously Lee Kuan Yew is a very respected man, but also there are aspects of his life that people also want to look at with a closer eye. But I do encourage everyone to just go and check out this experience if you can also. If you can afford it and whatever.
Sponsored comment.
No, not sponsored. I was glad to experience it because I feel like Singapore stories, whether more of them need to be told, and they need to be told in a different fashion also. So this was an interesting way for that where it's very Instagrammable. That's what I would say, right? It's very beautiful, very Instagrammable sections, and I think it's worth checking out if you're into these kind of live experiences. How was it for you?
It was all right.
Okay.
It was all right. I mean, I think it's nice that they try to kind of make it a bit more engaging, where you can actually experience it and not just watch a documentary or something.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually would hope that there are more experiences like that in the future, of local stories. Or today's LKY experience. Maybe tomorrow is like the Shanti Pereira experience or something, talking about how she overcame it.
The Yalabat experience lah.
Oh yes, the Yalabat experience.
The Yalabat experience lah.
Yeah.
You go there and whatever you say, someone will argue with you. Yeah, exactly.
And after that, someone will reach your pocket and steal $200,000 from you, right?
Yes, correct. Correct.
The Yalabat experience. Wow, the trauma.
Yeah, man.
But yes, that's my one
cool
thing.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah. It's going to be a busy week this week, but we'll still try and be coming out with another app later.
Yeah, because we'll be at the event, Tech Week Singapore, which is happening 11th and 12th October.
Yeah.
We're going to be speaking. We're going to have a booth. Registration is free.
Yeah.
There's going to be like 25,000 people there.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to get the tickets in the show notes.
Mm.
Cool, man. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.